Folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. Hope y'all are having a happy pandemic. We've been staying pretty busy around here. It's August 6th and it's been pretty hot. We had a little break from the heat last week because we got some rain, a little over 2 inches. It all just soaked right in. Didn't get any runoff at all to put any water in the pond, so it's still dry. Beehives are doing good. We are down 4 from our goal of 30. We try and maintain about 30 going into the winter. So we're going to go into the winter with 26. Looks like a couple of them are still kind of iffy, not doing well. I've got one down in the woods, number 29, I'm going to check on. It superseded this year, and I know there was a queen in there, but it's just not thriving like number 30 right next to it. So I'm going to check on that. Also, I've got 4 or 5 hives that I'm feeding, and I want to check on them and see how they're coming along. One hive was really strong, and all that population after honey harvest, all that population into the dearth had to feed off the honey they had in the deep boxes, and they must have cleaned most of it out because it's very lightweight when I checked it for weight. So that was number 26 over there next to the huge swarm. This time of year I usually will have a tiny swarm series going on where I catch a little swarm and I kind of nurse it into the fall and see if we can get it through winter. But this year I did have one. It was super tiny, and the bees from hive number 3 were trying to kill the queen. When I did find her, they had her all balled up there. So I just moved that queen into a hive that was superseding, and they accepted her. She looked like she was a virgin queen. I put her in there, and I checked it a couple days later, and she was in there and doing good. And I checked it another week after that, and she was gone. And all the supersedure cells were tore down. So I'm thinking she went out to mate and didn't get back, just like it's been the major problem this year. Not sure what's causing that, but we're having very poor percentages on requeening with the mating flights and being successful. So with that, let's get into hive 29 and check it out and see what we find. It may need combined, I don't know. I haven't been in it in quite a while. I've been staying kind of out of the hives because of the heat. In fact, I've got some honey super still on that I put on, and I had intended to get them off and before the fall flow. Right now they're empty, but with that rain, they may be putting some nectar up in there, and I really didn't want that. I wasn't going to do a fall harvest this year. We usually keep our fall honey for ourselves for personal use, and we had such a huge spring harvest. I was going to let the fall honey all go down into the deep boxes and let them come out of winter a lot stronger that way. So that plan half worked out. I got about half of my supers up and stored, and but the other half are still down here. We'll check those out and see. Man, I don't know what I'm going to do if they're putting nectar in there, because I don't want to leave it on there over winter, and I don't want to do an open feed. I may wind up doing that after all. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so here's hives 29 and 30. 29's on the right. That's the one we're going to check out, and you can see the difference in the population. These are both moved over here about the same time, and 29 here superseded the queen. So she was a 2-year-old queen, and they superseded her with a new one. And that one was actually successful. You can see the difference in the hives and how much that'll set a hive back. We'll go ahead and get in there and check it out. So I want to get down here and I'm going to lift this hive up from the back, just kind of give it a little test to see what it weighs, kind of get an idea how much honey they have stored. For a single deep hive, it's not too bad. If you can lift it with like one finger easily, that's a sign it's really light. But that feels to me like it's about, I'm lifting about 20 pounds there. So let's get in here and see what it looks like. Got us a cucaracha there running around. So when I first started beekeeping, I put my hive stand right here in this location because I thought this will be nice in the trees, it's shady, and it'll be a good place to work on the hives. Well, from a staying cool perspective, that was true, but a bad thing about shady spots are hive beetles. Hive beetles will infest your hive a lot easier in these shady areas. So I use this spot kind of as an overflow now, but 29 and 30 I may or may not have a hive here at any given time. And I see quite a few beetles running around up here, and the queen is on the lid. That's the second time I've had this happen here recently. There she is right there. So yeah, if we wouldn't have looked at this and just sat it down beside the hive, the queen could have wandered off. So we need to get her back down in there. See if I can coax her down. There she went. Kind of bonked her on the head a little. See if I can squish any of these beetles. Kind of hard amongst all these bees. When you're trying to get these beetles, one thing you can do is set your tool next to them and just lift it up just slightly, and they'll go right underneath it because they think it's a hiding place. Oops, I accidentally got a bee. This particular hive tool's not the best for smashing beetles. I like the yellow one that's got a long end on it. Okay, I think we got most of them. Well, we don't need to search for the queen, we saw her. We'll just run through here real quick. Let's see what we find. An empty frame. Boy, I don't like this hive stand. That's empty, and that's empty. Empty, and empty. Got hive beetles running around on those frames. So we need to get us a beetle trap or two on this hive. Completely empty comb. Got a little bit of honey stores right here. You can see the hive beetles running around here. Okay, got us capped honey here and a little bit of nectar below. And we have a little bit of nectar right here. Nectar here. And there's a little bit of nectar on this frame. This bee right here's got pollen on her legs. Looks like we're getting to some brood here on the next frame. So we got us a light brood pattern here. Just a little practice cup right there. Nothing in it. That's another one right there. And here's our queen right here. And there's some open brood and larvae right in here. So she's keeping a light pattern, mainly because there's not a lot of resources going on in here. So this is the pollen frame. See all your pollen right in here. You can kind of see a few different colors, but not a whole lot of diversity. It's mostly kind of a light brown color. And same on this side. More pollen. So she's got a little bit of pollen, a little bit of nectar to work with. But she's keeping them throttled back. She got going probably just right before the dearth. So we need to feed this hive and get them built up for winter. They'll get a little bit from the fall flow, which is beginning now because we have goldenrod blooming. I'll probably put some of that at the beginning of this video on some B-roll. Quite a few bees on that inner cover. Okay, so we have us a single deep hive here. The queen is laying lightly. Going into winter, they're not strong enough. This hive won't make it the way it is. With the fall flow, they might get enough nectar and honey built up for them to survive. This is why the queen isn't laying a lot, because there's nothing coming in. There's no reason for her to lay anymore. So we need to boost this up some. And this hive has the makings for a really nice, viable hive in 2021, next year. So we got us a brand new queen. She's marked blue this year. She's a super seeder queen, which means she didn't come out of a nice big swarm cell. So she probably will have one good prime year, and that would be it. So we need to really set this hive up for success next year and get a feeder on here. So with some of my honey sales, I invested in some feeders. I ordered 5 hive top feeders from Man Lake, and I decided that's the type that I want to use. Those little feeders with the little plastic buckets that I put inside, man, I really don't like those at all because the lid pops off real easy. And when you're turning that thing over and all that syrup's in there and you're setting it down in there, man, I just cringe thinking that lid's going to come off. But when you remove it and they propolis the lid down to the bottom, you can't get it off without that lid coming off. I've tried with the scraper and the tool. Still, you'll break that thing open unless you're super, super careful. And I did have about 1 inch worth of syrup just drain out into one of my hives, which probably didn't hurt anything, but that's not good. So I invested in, ordered a box of 5 hive top feeders that they go up in with the screen mesh, and I'll do a separate video. I'll unbox those and show those. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll catch you on the next beekeeping video. Y'all take care.